on the ongoing KCSE examinations, and to that effect, we're also focusing on day 2 of King Charles III as well as Queen Camilla. We have that and so much more for the next 1 hour or so. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. My co-anchor is Brian Abuli. Let's start on that particular note on the examination, today being the last day. Now, day 3 and the final day of the national examinations for Class 8 and Grade 6 learners came to a close with no major incidences reported. The candidates expressed optimism in the registering good grades. Our reporter Kasichana Masha has the details of the last day of the national exams that also put a cap on the assessment of learners through the 844 system.
This was the situation at Westland's Deputy County Commissioner's office despite the early morning weather.
Bridge International.
Head teachers gathered to receive the examination papers that were stored in a container. This will be the last day of the examination as the Class 8 candidates sat for Social Studies and CRE paper, while their counterpart in Grade 6 sat for Social Studies and Creative Arts. Westland Sub-County Deputy County Commissioner Mwai Gishero said no major incidences had been reported.
We have been having 87 centers where we have different officers, and in the last 3 days we have not had any hitch. The center managers, the security officers have worked very well, and since Monday we have not had any student being involved in any case of malpractice.
At Karura Primary School, the learners say their final prayer before trooping into the examination room.
The Lion of Judah has broken every chain, has given us power. Hallelujah, day by day.
As is the tradition, they had to first line up and go through the rituals of being frisked before entering the room. The bell will ring, signaling the start of the final papers. As the results are expected to be out by the end of this month, every learner has their expectation, but to hope things go their way.
I expect to get 400 marks and above and to go to Muranga High Boys.
And I'm expecting to get 400 marks, and I'm expecting to go to Kenya High.
Well, I am in room 2, index number 34, and my marks is to get 350 marks.
My teachers have prepared me well, and I expect to get 400 and above marks.
The KCP and KBC national examination results are expected to be released by the end of November. Kasichana Masha, Lunchtime News.
From those prayers to God's ears, let's wish all those candidates the best as they wait for that particular result. Still in Westland's constituency, I want to head over there. We do understand a basic education principal secretary, that is Dr. Belio Kipsang, addressed members of the Fourth Estate, given that today it is the last day of KCP and KEPSEA. We do have our reporter, as you can see, that is Frederick Pasayo. Frederick, good afternoon. What more can you tell us on the last day of the examinations?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Abdiaziz Hashim. You have said you are coming from sub-county offices where we are expecting the PS basic education.
We do apologize for that particular technical glitch. I think we're going to reach out to our reporter. Basically, is what is happening there is that the Basic Education Principal Secretary, Dr. Belio Kipsang, any moment from now, he is expected at Westland Sub-County to, of course, issue the final address on matters on KCPE and KEPSEA. But let's head over to the Integrity Center, where we do understand the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has apprehended Shadrach Karira Ndegwa for allegedly posing as a National Intelligence Service officer and sometimes as a forensic investigator working with the Office of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. While confirming the arrest, EACC Deputy CEO Abdi Mohamud says the Commission has seen an increase in the number of persons posing as staff members of EACC, DCI, Police, NIS and DPP in their quest to extort money and other favors from the public. They have urged Kenyans to remain on high alert to avoid avoid being duped, even as they cautioned those found impersonating government officers they will face stiff penalties.
These people who we've arrested, some in the past, have continued in the recent past to extort money from the public, more so high-ranking public officers. And the way they operate is almost predictable, as we've dealt with them in the past. The last time when we brought him here, we basically wanted to know why he's involved in this risky business. You know, we arrest him, he's taken to court, he's released on bond. We arrest him again, he's also released. And you know, the guy was very categorical that, look, me, this is the kind of business I want to do. It pays, and even if you arrest me many times, I will continue doing this work, because for him, he thinks it pays.
Now, from the Integrity Center, we come back, of course, here in the capital. We're still keeping tabs on the King's visit. Of course, today it is day 2 after following that particular banquet at State House, Nairobi. We do understand that King Charles III is at Karura Forest. He is visiting that particular plain. We also do have our reporters on standby. That is Alvin Kaunda. Those are live images, as you can see. Those are images live from Karura Forest. That is where King Charles III is currently visiting, and of course meeting representatives from that particular area as well. This has been the norm since the king has arrived in the country. He has pickpocketed various areas in this particular great capital, and of course we do understand he'll be traveling out of the capital in various parts of the country. But right now those are live images from Karura. But I want to take you to our reporter, that is Alvin Kaunda, who is in KCPA Center, which is in Karen, and to bring us up to speed, given that we do know that once the king leaves Karura Forest, he'll be heading over to where Alvin Kaunda is. Alvin, what do we expect the king will be visiting there for?
Okay, thank you very much, Abdiaziz. I'm coming to you live from Karen here at the KSPCA, which is the Kenya Society for the Protection of Animals. So the Queen Camilla just visited here, and she left just a few minutes ago, and maybe you may ask why she visited this specific place. If I can run you through a brief history of this place, KSPCA is also the headquarters for Brook. Brook is also a non-governmental organization formed by the UK government, where they take in donkeys that are being mistreated, but not just donkeys, but also horses that are being mistreated, and then they take them in, and then they take care of them, and then release them back into very careful or maybe very nice hands out there. So as I was saying, the Queen visited this place because she is currently the president of Brook after she took over from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II after she passed on. So the Queen just made her visit here. It was very short-lived and it was very brief, but she went through various posts here where she was shown how the animals are being treated. And also going back to KSPCA not only takes care of just donkeys and horses, but also they bring in cats, dogs, animals that are also being mistreated, and then they take care of them. And the Queen was she also got a chance to interact with the animals, and also she was shown some work that they do here. There are women who are actually doing some great work with sisals, making sisal ropes for these donkeys. That the sisal ropes are very, let's say, they're very, just not to hurt the animals. So yeah, as everything not actually much is going on here, but we after this place we'll be heading to Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. Sheldrick Wildlife Trust is also here in Nairobi, just close to Nairobi National Park, where we'll be expecting to see both the king and the queen. And I will keep you updated as we head there. I am told that we are supposed to head there right now, but yeah, just to brief you, Abdiaziz, back to you in studio.
That is our reporter Alvin Kaunda in Karen for the KCPSA Center, where we do understand Queen Camilla visited a short brief a while ago. And of course, that particular initiative was a non-governmental organization that is protecting donkeys and horses from human brutality. We do understand she is now the presiding patron of that particular initiative since the demise of Queen Elizabeth II. As also you can see, the King is currently in Karura Forest visiting that particular area. Once, of course, we get hold of our reporters placed in those particular stations, they'll be duly informing us. Let's head over to the coastal city, where over 400 Kilifi County employees seconded to a private revenue collection company are demanding the reinstatement of the firm following the cancellation of its contract by the county government. This follows a 2-year legal battle between the firm, Raindrops Limited, and the county government of Kilifi, with the latter trying to cancel a 15-year contract with the firm. Led by Daniel Katana, the employees allege they have been attacked by persons who they claim are plainclothes policemen when they try to work. Katana added that it was disheartening that the county entered into a revenue collection deal with Raindrops Limited in 2014 during the tenure of Senate Speaker Amason Kingi as the governor of the county, and that the contract was being cancelled before it lapses.
Mimi ni mfanyikazi wa county, nilikuwa secondary hapa Raindrop. Tumekuwa nje kwa muda miaka miwili. Tumekuwa na mikakati na gavana Mngaro. Na gavana Mngaro kurudi kazini, na amekataa kuturudisha kazini bila sababu yoyote. Wamepelekana kotini. Tumejaribu kuwasiliana naye ili turudi kazi.
Tumefanya kwa hii kampuni kwa miaka 7 sasa, na hii contract ilipewa miaka 15. Lakini tunashangaa sasa hii Mngaro anatutesa sana. Kuanzia Kingi sasa hii ameshikilia yeye Mngaro. Na tuko na court orders karibu 3-4. Lakini serikali nayo pia inaingilia kati. Kila tukitaka tukiingia kazini wao wanatufurusha. Hatuna nafasi ya kufanya kazi. County government hiyo inatulipa, lakini tukiingia kazini tunakuta maaskari wamevaa civilian, tunafurushwa, wengine tunapigwa, video tuko nazo. Na si leo wala jana, sasa hii imefika miaka 2 sasa hii tangu tutoke kazini.
To health matters now, a section of women in the disciplined forces have embarked on a campaign to educate Kenyans, especially women, on the need for regular testing for breast cancer. Through an initiative dubbed Pink Target Charity, the officers organized a shooting competition to raise funds towards the fight against breast cancer in Kiambu County.
200 women from Kiambu County came together for the shooting competition organized by women in the disciplined forces with the aim of breast cancer awareness. The group, dubbed Pink Target Charity, domiciled in Kiambu County, called on the need for universal health care to ensure those in need of medical care get it.
Educate yourselves, your families, and your communities about the importance of early detection, self-examinations, and regular screenings. By fostering open dialogues and providing support, we can create and nurture environment for those affected by breast cancer.
Margaret Mboro, a cancer survivor and a champion of breast cancer awareness, was diagnosed with breast cancer over 31 years ago when she was 40, and has since dedicated herself to creating awareness of cancer, noting that a cancer diagnosis is not a death sentence.
Ningependa sana kuwajulisha ile tabu hao wamama wanapitia, wale wako advanced, wanatengwa na wazazi na familia, halafu na treatment kwa advanced breast cancer is very high. Iko na uchungu, hakuna matibabu ya advanced breast cancer.
She noted that there are many challenges that come with the management of cancer, hence there is need for early screening.
Yangu ni kufanya awareness ndio watu wapate nafasi ya kukaa vile mimi nimekaa na wafurahie familia zao. There are some who are very much challenged. Wakipata cancer hawajui cancer ni nini, wanaenda inakaa mpaka kwa mwili mpaka inakuwa advanced.
The event came as the world marked the end of the Cancer Awareness Month marked in October of every year. For Lunchtime News, I am Kennedy Ngure.
Also, a lack of awareness and knowledge of a legal framework and policies, land rights, natural resources, and community land rights have been identified as a major challenge, resulting to land conflict in Wangari County. To enhance local capacity building and address these challenges, Kenya Land Alliance held a 2-day training trainers of drawn from 30 wards in Wangari County to various actors in the region. The Kenya Lands Alliance Chief Executive Officer Faith Alube urged the various actors to advance the land justice agenda in the region. Alube says it will also facilitate dialogue and collaboration among different actors to promote inclusive and participatory governance of these rights and resources.
The people are marginalized, they don't know the use of the land, or they don't know the rights of the land. So we were being taught the land of our right, at the same time how to register the land for the title deeds. We don't have title deeds, so at least we have gained a lot of knowledge so that we can develop our own lands.
Community land ndio kila mtu alikuwa anakimbia, lakini aswa watu sisi kama watu wa Northeastern hatujui mambo ya community land. Kwa hivyo tunawashukuru Kenya Land Safe leo vile walikuwa wametufunza, na sisi pia tutafanya juhudi ya kwamba tutafikisha wananchi ambaye sisi tunawakilisha.
To just sensitize the communities on their role in the registration of their communally held lands, and also to just collaboratively between the county, the communities, and non-governmental organizations like CBOs, FBOs, to just talk to them about their role in ensuring that their land is protected and recognized in line with the law as it is. We are glad that today in our sensitization forum we've been able to see women have been included, we've seen youth, and we've seen the men.
Also, we're keenly following on the royal visit today. It is day 2. Of course, it will run up all the way to Friday. What I want to show you now, we do have live images from Karura Forest, where we do understand King Charles there. You can see the third, and of course, the Vice Chancellor of University of Nairobi. There, the King Charles III will be visiting that particular forest, where His Majesty King Charles III, accompanied by an escort of honor, departed from the Nairobi Street Kitchen, and of course that was yesterday. But from Karura Forest, those were live images. King Charles III. Also, we do understand earlier on the Queen Camilla was in Karen. We do have our reporters stationed in those key areas, and they'll duly inform us. And of course, to other stories now, where plans to have an annual Wangari Maathai marathon will be unveiled by King Charles III during his first visit to Kenya as a monarch this week. The inaugural marathon is set for the 3rd of March 2024. This comes as the Chief Executive Officer of the Wangari Maathai Foundation, Njeri Kabeberi, calls on leaders across the world to emulate the vision and philosophy of the late professor for the good of the human race. Here is Sarafina Robi with a feature, The Unbound Spirit.
Since the passing of the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Professor Wangari Maathai, on the 25th of September 2011, due to cancer-related complications, those who interacted with her are still at awe 12 years later, describing her relentless spirit.
I feel like she lived totally. She lived her whole self. She didn't leave anything that she could have done that she didn't do. Of course, we miss her and we wish she had lived longer. But when you look at her legacy, it is a legacy. I don't know anyone in the world who has lived such a legacy, despite only having lived it for 72 years. And you would find her with release of political prisoners. You'd find her during the civil strife in Kenya, going around preaching peace. You'd find her with women, trying to promote women leaders. You'd find her as a politician, and you'd find her as an environmentalist.
The CEO of the Wangari Maathai Foundation, Njeri Kabeberi, highlights the late professor's struggle to protect the world's forests.
We're going to shed blood because of our land. We will. We are used to that. Our forefathers shed blood for our land. We will do so. This is my blood. And it reminds me of the blood that Wayaki shed trying to protect Karura Forest.
And what kept shocking me is Wangari would be beaten, brutalized, hospitalized, and she would come back to the struggle. It moved from Freedom Corner to the All Saints Cathedral at some point. But she would come back. She would be hospitalized and come back. I had never come across that kind of person and that kind of courage and that kind of determination. So she was somebody, if she set her mind on something, until it is accomplished, she would not walk away. So I never saw her walk away from any action that she had ever started. She understood that man could not be put on earth before everything else was there, because how would he live? But we don't understand that, and we didn't understand that. So Karura, the fight for Karura is a fight for humanity. The fight for forests continues to be the fight for humanity. She got beaten, she got hospitalized, she got imprisoned. Everything bad that could happen to her happened.
Professor Wangari Maathai is known to have started the Green Belt movement in 1977 under the auspices of the National Council of Women of Kenya to respond to the needs of rural Kenyan women who reported that rivers and streams within their areas were drying up. Their food supply was getting insecure day after day, among other complaints, due to the changing climate conditions. Years later, after her death, this will culminate in the Wangari Maathai Foundation.
The foundation was started in 2015, registered as a foundation. We are not just doing environment work. We want everybody to understand who she was, and therefore we are starting with young people. We have a project, in fact our flagship program is on young people. From the age of 6 up to the age of 35, we have 4 different programs that we do. And when we start with the 6-year-olds, we have a project called Hummingbird, the Hummingbird Leadership Program, where we want them to understand exactly Professor Wangari's philosophy. And with all 4 programs, we talk about her courageous and responsible leadership. It's not enough to have courage if you're not a responsible leader.
King Charles III, who is visiting the country for the first time since ascending to the throne, is expected to honor the efforts of the late Professor Wangari by officiating at the unveiling of a plan to hold annual marathon in her honor with the inaugural event slated for the 3rd of March 2024.
We want to launch it next week, and we are going to have it on 3rd of March 2024, which is her the Wangari Maathai Day. Wangari Maathai Day was also Africa Environment Day, but they devoted it to the name Wangari Maathai. So Africa Environment Day today is called Wangari Maathai Day. So we want to have a marathon, the first Wangari Maathai marathon on that day, and then we want to be having these marathons every year. The theme of the marathon is the power of one. Wangari believed so much that in the power of one, and she also believed in something she called your little thing. That if you do your little thing, you become powerful.
Philip Wamiyu, a forester with over 42 years experience and who also interacted with Professor Wangari, talks of the need for the country to ensure sustainability of Professor Wangari's legacy.
There has been a serious degradation, particularly in what we call the water towers. There are 5 major water towers in this country: Mount Kenya, Abdiaziz, Mount Elgon. There is also Mau, which is a huge ecosystem, and also Sherengani. And all those requires to be rehabilitated or restored, because if they are not, then the biodiversity and water catchment areas will shrink.
Professor Wangari Maathai won the Nobel Peace Prize on the 8th of October 2004 in recognition of her contribution to sustainable development, democracy and peace, becoming the first African woman to win the coveted award.
Us to stand up for what we believe in.
Professor Wangari has 3 children, 2 daughters, Wangari Maathai, Muta Maathai, and 1 son, Waweru Maathai. Her daughter continues with her legacy through different environmental initiatives.
Activists around the world, whatever it is you are holding on to, if you could have that kind of determination, if you could read her book like Sarafina here has, and then have that kind of determination that she had, I think the world would be a different place. Because each of us, as I said earlier, each of us has a purpose in this life. And if we could all live our purpose with that level of determination, the world would definitely be a different place.
Professor Wangari's dedication and passion in environmental issues through initiatives such as the Green Belt Movement continues to inspire generations on the need for environment sustainability.
And thank you, Sarafina, for that particular story. Of course, if you don't have plans on March 3rd, 2023, there you have it. You can participate in this historic marathon. On that note, that is 26 past the hour. We take our first commercial break. Don't go too far. We still have more news for you.
Omondi, umekuja mapema.
Nakwambia, siku hizi barabara ni nywe.
Kenya Roads Board is committed to ensure an efficient road network for a prosperous nation. Your fuel levy at work.
This is the first time it's happening in Africa.
That's where we can measure up where we really are.
Acaba velha cultura tonseia.
Enyimba is Nigeria.
I want Mamelodi Sundowns to conquer Africa.
Angola style is fighting and very fast players.
Tepe Mazembe ni ekipi isha kufanya histoire monde mzima.
عندنا طاقات كبيرة، عندنا طاقات لعابة كبار.
سيمباز تنزانيا.
أي بطولة هي بالنسبة لنا بتبقى أهم بطولة.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now I want to take you live to Westlands constituency where we do understand the Basic Education Principal Secretary, that is Dr. Belio Kipsang, is addressing members of the Fourth Estates and the residents there in regards to the coming close of the KCPE and KPSA examinations. Let's listen in.
And an assessment, the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and the Grade 6 assessment. We were dealing with slightly more than 2.6 million candidates in the last 3 days. And I would want to thank all of us because to a very large extent, I think it's been very successful. The other team I would want to thank is yourself in the Fourth Estate. I think you worked with us very well. You've been you've been of the Kenyan people, and where we had challenges, we were able to bring it out to the Kenyan people, like the challenges that we may have encountered in the north of the country, mainly in Marsabit, where there were fairly quite some rains on the first day. And we want to thank all of us because government was able to adequately deploy helicopters to that region, and our children were able to do exams. There is no particular region of this country where we failed to administer an examination because of logistical issues, because we were well deployed, both on the ground and in the air, and our children were facilitated adequately. And as you can see behind us, we have started receiving the OMR papers. We have started receiving the composition and INSHA papers, and I want to assure you that we are going in immediately to start marking. I would want to indicate that because of the work that is bending ahead, and our children have to report to school in January, we shall prioritize the marking of KCB so that before we break for Christmas, our parents will have known where their children will have been admitted to, and also to prepare them to mobilize the necessary resources for their children to school, and also give adequate time for those who will be applying for the various scholarships that will be available, including the Elimu scholarships. So we would want to make sure that prioritize KCPE in the marking so that in the earliest time possible, we release the results to give parents adequate time to prepare. So on marking, I would want to assure again the country that this year we are adequately resourced to be able to compensate and to pay our professionals who have been handling the examination, including our examiners. So we want to assure our examiners that this time we shall be able to sort out all payments that are due to them in good time. So to that extent, I would want to assure all of us that we are ready and prepared. This year again, I would want to thank that I think what we are taking through our parents in our CBC, the parents' empowerment and involvement, the engagement and empowerment of parents, I think we have started seeing results.
Well, that is the basic education. Dr. Belio Kipsang just addressing members of the Fourth Estate as the students are anticipated to sit for their last papers, which is composition and English. And of course, our reporter, if you've just seen there, Frederick Pasaya, will duly inform us in our subsequent bulletins. I want to take you back to the coastal city where we do understand President William Ruto is expected to visit the coastal region for the next 5 days or so for the Mwakarini-Rabai Road this afternoon. The 33-kilometer road will be an alternative route to connect Mombasa and Kilifi counties through Kiembeni to Rabai and Kaloleni. This being the first tarmac road in Mwakirunge area, it is expected to start economic development and is a reprieve for the residents who have been experiencing poor road infrastructure. As you can see, now we're being joined by our reporter Ann Buru in Mombasa County. And what else can we expect from the President's 5-day visit in the coastal region?
Good afternoon to you, to Abdiaziz Hashim back at Broadcasting House, and I'm coming live to you from Kiembeni area, which is the road that links Mwakirunge to Rabai Road, the one that the President is expected to commission at around 2 p.m. The sun is really scorching here, but we thank God. So far, this road is expected to be commissioned at 2 p.m. by President William Ruto, and this road is a 33-kilometer road, but so far, according to the engineer, it is just 20% complete. This tour is the President's first day of the 5-day coastal tour that he will be in the coast region, just to check on the projects that are in the coast region. Right now, I'll be joined by the engineer in charge of this particular road that links Mwakirunge to Rabai Kaloleni Road, just to tell us exactly how the progress is, because according to him, he just explained to me that it is 1.5 years until when they are able to complete this particular road that links Mwakirunge and Rabai in Kilifi County. Karibu sana Bwana Engineer on set. You'll start with your names and then you will tell us how far you are with this road and why it has taken too long to finish this road.
Thank you so much. I am Engineer Magodu, the Director Development from Kenya Rural Road Authority, in charge of the construction of this road. This road is 33 kilometers in total. The road starts at Bamburi, passes through the Mwakirunge dam site, and joins the Maseras Kaloleni Road at both 2 point Badora and Rabai. The cost of the road is about 2.2 billion. Awarded to AA by use of contractors in November 2021. We have had challenges in financing, but now the government has taken up this road as an enabler, as a stimulus to the focus on rural development, because this road is going to bring a change in the way the economy of this place has been before, because you realize that if you take the base data, let's say for the RAD value of this place, just because of the coming up of this road, the RAD values have started to rise. So when it is completed, we expect a change in the RAD prices. New developers will come and take advantage of the connectivity and the motorability and mobility to bring up better development than what is happening now. We are also going to have better access to social facilities, social and public facilities. We have schools, we have hospitals, we have other social institutions which will benefit greatly by the improvement of this road.
Just as you've heard it from the engineer, this particular road is going to bring a lot of development at the Mwakirunge area and other areas in Rabai constituency. So back to you in studio, Abdiaziz Hashim, as we wait for the president's arrival at 2 p.m.
Thank you so much. That is Ann Mburu. Of course, we'll be keeping tabs on when the president comes. And of course, our team is able to bring us live so that we can see other projects that the president will be launching in the coastal region. Let's come back here to the capital, where last night King Charles III of Britain acknowledged the crimes committed by his country during the 8 years of the state of emergency in 1952. Speaking during a banquet hosted in his honor by President William Ruto at State House Nairobi, the king, however, did not issue an official apology, terming the crimes as an abhorrent and unjustifiable acts of violence. President William Ruto told the king that much remains to be done in order to achieve full reparations. The British royals are in Kenya for a 4-day state visit.
In 1952, the British government declared a state of emergency in Kenya to quell a fermenting uprising by Mau Mau freedom fighters who are fighting for their lands and equal labor rights. What followed was 8 years of large-scale torture, murder and rape that left thousands of people dead.
There were abhorrent and unjustifiable acts of violence committed against Kenyans as they waged, as you said at the United Nations, a painful struggle for independence and sovereignty. And for that, there can be no excuse.
In 2013, the United Kingdom government reached an out-of-court settlement of £20 million as payout for the more than 5,000 Kenyans affected by the state of emergency. When King Charles landed in Kenya on Monday night, there was mounting pressure for the UK government through the King to issue an official apology to Kenyans for the atrocities committed in the 50s. However, the King remained mum on the subject during a state banquet in honor of the visiting majesties, even as he acknowledged the crimes were a violation of human rights.
None of this can change the past, but by addressing our history with honesty and openness, we can perhaps demonstrate the strength of our friendship today. And in so doing, we can, I hope, continue to build an ever closer bond for the years ahead.
King Charles said by addressing the Kenya-UK history with honesty and openness, the two countries can continue to build an ever closer bond for the years ahead. During the banquet, President William Ruto praised the king for the exemplary courage in shedding light on uncomfortable truths.
While there has been efforts to atone for the death, injury, and suffering inflicted on Kenyan Africans by colonial government, much remains to be done in order to achieve full reparations.
Ruto added that much remains to be done in order to achieve full reparations.
And if colonialism was brutal and atrocious to African people, colonial reaction to African struggles for sovereignty and self-rule was monstrous in its cruelty. It culminated in the emergency, which intensified the worst excesses of colonial impunity and the indiscriminate victimization of Africans.
King Charles and Queen Camilla are on a 4-day visit to Kenya, their first outside Europe and to a Commonwealth country. O'Brien came in for Lunchtime News.
And now to the Bomas of Kenya, where the National Dialogue Committee will sit on Thursday next week to consider various proposals submitted by stakeholders on various topical issues, including the latest on the cost of living and affordable housing. The co-chairs Kalonzo Musyoka and Kimani Ichung'wah have said the committee will hear submissions from ministries of the National Treasury, Energy and Housing on matters of the cost of living and affordable housing on Monday next week. The committee is aiming to beat the 22nd November deadline when they are supposed to hand over the report to Principals President William Ruto and Opposition Leader Raila Amolo Odinga before presenting it to Parliament.
Kusema kwamba bado kuna wengine ambao leo tulikuwa tuwatarajia, lakini kwa sababu ya hali ya makalenda zao tukaona kwamba tutawasikiliza Jumatatu ijayo. Hatua ambayo tutachukua sisi wenyewe itabainika wazi baada ya kuwasikiliza wote.
By Thursday, we shall now review and consider as a committee all the proposals that will have come to us from all the experts, and thereafter retreat to do the final report. And as His Excellency has said, on or before the 22nd, we expect to give the final report to the principals and also table our report before Parliament, both houses.
And now let's get down to business. Institutions of higher learning should collaborate in establishing a cybersecurity research center that will offer specialized training and be a research hub for students and equip them with the necessary cybersecurity skills. Cyber Pro Director of Strategic Alliance, Benjamin Mwendo, says the model, which could draw representation from different institutions, will help in addressing emerging cyber issues. This emerged at the inaugural Cyber Week Africa 2023 cybersecurity conference organized by Cyber Pro Global, drawing delegates from the academia and the government representatives to deliberate cybersecurity issues in Africa.
Conference, the one that we're having today at the University of Nairobi, has one main agenda, and that is creating a cybersecurity research center at the University of Nairobi. But it has to be organized, structured in a way that it is managed, the framework is managed well by government. Because eventually, the government will have a cybersecurity directorate which will manage cybersecurity research centers, which means it can now filter in to the whole policy of ICT.
There are many opportunities in the cybersecurity space because security space spans a range of skills. For instance, we can have network security experts, so students can try to learn how to deal with network threats. That means configuring firewalls, intrusion detection, and so forth.
Elsewhere, Arid and Semi-Arid Lands and Regional Development Cabinet Secretary Penina Malonza says there is need to harmonize interventions targeting arid and semi-arid lands to reduce duplication and enhance effectiveness of the support. Here's Regina Manyara with the details.
Having a comprehensive mix of interventions to address weather-related emergencies, to cushion households against adverse effects of drought, an estimated 2.6 million head of livestock was lost to drought. However, the impact of the interventions would have been bigger were it not for duplication by government agencies and development partners.
We are aware that many of you have very, very important projects in different counties of this country. It is very important for us to coordinate this support. It is also very, very important to us to harmonize these support activities in various parts of the country so that we don't double up, to contribute to wastages.
The government is keen to have development partners aligning their interventions with those of the state through collaboration.
This in mind, distinguished delegates, I kindly request your consideration of the priority areas for support. Your financial backing will be pivotal in the efforts to implement these initiatives swiftly.
I'm looking forward that we will enhance joint planning, designing, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of our projects and programs. This way, we will synergize and maximize our impact and therefore winning together.
Malonza says the government is undertaking a consultative meeting with development partners to synergize priority areas including early warning systems to increase efficiency and better serve the target populace. Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
And now to Narok County, where Masai Mara National Reserve is at risk of losing its reputation as a renowned wildlife paradise following massive dumping of waste within the reserve. Environmentalists say there is need to invest in proper waste management infrastructure to restore the reserve's natural ecosystem and protect residents and seasonal wildlife population.
Despite the enforcement of the ban on single-use plastic bags, plastic and non-biodegradable waste continues to be a menace that has now infiltrated national parks and game reserves alike. The recent increase in population and the migration of people from other regions to the Masai Mara area has caused an unprecedented increase in domestic and industrial waste generation. Business owners and communities nearby the reserve have failed to use proper means of disposal, resulting in land, water, and airborne pollution. In turn, wildlife also consume these hazardous materials, leading to deaths and a serious decline in wildlife population in the Greater Mara.
We are working with the community. We educate our community about conservation. We are as well partnering with that camps or foundations like Great Pain Foundation to make sure that this one is a success.
To address these challenges, stakeholders have committed to investing in proper garbage waste disposal infrastructure that will reduce land degradation that has negatively affected tourist numbers.
One of our core activity and integral value as Great Plain is conservation. So we are very much delighted and happy to be part and parcel of this organization, youth organization, to carry out this activity.
Additionally, the cleanup exercise will work to create awareness among communities and impact decision-making accounts for climate impacts. This, they say, will help through the formulation of clear guidelines on climate, vulnerability and impact assessment.
The damage in the park is unfortunately quite extensive. We couldn't quantify or put a figure to that. I would think looking at the scenario we have, it's just important to zone it out and make sure that we put the right efforts and initiatives behind it to make sure that we take back this treasure to what it's supposed to be.
It's also one of the changing, way to make them understand that we need to conserve the environment. So bringing them, making them part and parcel of every activity, in regards to the environment, I think it's one of the points to see them, being the owners, taking the activity as theirs.
Elsewhere, students at KCA University have innovated an animal feed production system that utilizes food waste to make high-protein feed suitable for pigs and chicken. The students say the system that converts organic waste picked from food markets into fast-growing, high-protein larva farmers could reduce the cost of animal feed production by 30%, as Edna Murungi now narrates.
In Kenya, about 40% of food produced is lost to post-harvest losses. This is the food that KCA University students are keen to utilize as the key raw material for making animal feed. The students have developed a system that converts such food waste into fast-growing and high-protein larvae of black soldier flies that could be consumed by pigs or chicken. The students believe farmers could save 30% of animal feed cost if they embraced their system.
Program ni muhimu. Modeli nayo tunayoitumia ama mikakati tunayotumia ili kuweza kukuza wanyama hawa katika skeli kubwa, inaongeza levels of employment. Watu wengi wanapata ajira, na pia katika kupata ajira pia tunaongeza economy power. Watu wanapata shilingi kwa kufanya ukulima huu.
The students are pitching the invention to financiers with the hope of commercializing it, even though questions linger on about where to source the food waste.
And I'm glad to be here to sponsor the event that seeks to drive innovation. Like we said, innovation is about solving for societal challenges which exists in various verticals of the economy, exists in day-to-day life. Council has set aside some reasonable finances, modest finances, to support these takeoffs. It is just a few months we launched the Vice Chancellor and CEO Research and Innovation Grant, and this will be championed not just by the students but also by the faculty.
The innovation is among top 10 others on display at KCA University's ongoing Second Innovation Week and Industry Summit. Edna Murungi, reporting for Lunchtime News.
And now finally, let's play. 12-time champion Ian Duncan and newly crowned champion Jasmine Chana will line up in this weekend's Guru Nanak Rally in Elementaita, Nakuru County. This year's Guru Nanak Rally will count as the 8th round of a Kenya National Rally Championship.
The penultimate round of the 2023 Kenya National Rally Championships gets underway at this weekend's prestigious Guru Nanak Rally, which has assembled a studded entry. Newly crowned champion Jasmine Chana tops the entry and will be navigated by his elder brother Ravi Chana. Legendary Ian Duncan, who has won the Guru Nanak a record of 12 times, will also take part in the showpiece. The rally has also attracted talented youngsters, including Neil Gohil, who will make his part in the second-tier clubman category. Gohil will be making his debut in the training event, which is run alongside the main Kenya National Rally Championship. A total of 4 stages will be repeated to mark up an entertaining 7 speed tests, of which Soisabo and Sleeping Warrior will be repeated twice and Bweha thrice. For Lunchtime News, I'm Sela Onyango.
And now to Europe, where England's hopes of reaching the Nations League finals and the 2024 Paris Olympics were dealt a further blow after a 3-2 defeat to Belgium, which the match overshadowed by a head injury to Alex Greenwood. England has now dropped to 3rd place in Nations League Group A1 with 6 points, 1 point behind Belgium.
Belgium went ahead after 9 minutes through fine Laura Deneuve free kick, which was curled around a questionable England wall.
And it's the centre-back, Laura Deneuve.
But the game was paused for 13 minutes soon after following a clash of heads between Greenwood and Jessina Blom. Lucy Bronze flicked home a fine header before Fran Kirby put England ahead on her first international start in over a year. Belgium captain Teresa Wallet scored the first of her 2 goals just before the break to level for the hosts.
And so is the finish.
And grabbed the vital win from the penalty spot after Georgina Stanway was penalized for handball with 5 minutes of normal time remaining. England have now dropped to that place in the Nations League Group A1 with 6 points, 1 place and a point behind Belgium. The Netherlands are 2 points clear at the top of the table after beating Scotland 1-0.
We're here, lifted to perfection. Lucy Bronze nearly had 2 in.
To more news now. World number 2 Carlos Alcaraz saw his hopes of finishing this year's as the world number 1 dealt a blow after a shock opening loss to Roman Sefilin in the Paris Masters. Alcaraz, who received a bye in the first round, lost 6-3, 6. And of course, being an Arsenal fan, we need to remind you that today we'll be having a derby against West Ham. Chelsea will be taking over Blackburn and Man United against Newcastle. We all know how that will end at Old Trafford. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. My co-anchor has been Brian Abuli. Good afternoon for now.
You don't know how hard it is that Uriel isn't with me. That's the worst thing that can happen to a pregnant woman.
Our marriage is falling apart and you don't care at all.
Enough!
What now?
I said that's enough, Teresa!
I think it's a great idea. Teresa has come like a gift from heaven.
You want to make sure that I don't see Isabel. What's the matter? Stop it!
We're preparing everything, Carolina. Are you really sure this is what you want to do?
Pindi tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
haha nĩ harĩa tũkoragwo tũkĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hot
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Soro FM.
Ujambo mpenzi mtazamaji wa KBC Channel 1, nikitumai kwamba mzima tangu wiki iliyopita tulipokuwa pamoja. Ni wiki nyingine